Ethan Miller thought he had life figured out. At 32, he was working as a project manager at a growing construction technology company, earning a solid income and sharing a downtown apartment with his girlfriend, Samantha. They'd been together for 4 years, and he often imagined proposing soon. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, built on effort, honesty, and patience. Then, on a random Monday afternoon, while Ethan sat in a team meeting, his phone buzzed. The message was short, but sharp enough to split his world in half. "You're not ambitious enough. I need someone who matches my energy." He blinked, reading it again, wondering if it was a joke. But when he came home that evening, Samantha was surrounded by half-filled boxes. She didn't even look up. "I've been thinking about this for a while," she said coldly. "You're too comfortable. You never push yourself. You're stuck." Ethan tried to process it. "Samantha, I've worked hard to build a stable life for us. That's ambition." She gave a soft, dismissive laugh. "Real ambition is growth, not comfort. Look at my friend Dylan. He just became a senior executive at 30. You've been in the same role for years." His stomach sank. "So this is about another guy?" "This is about me," she said, hoisting her suitcase. "And I can't be with someone who's content being average." Ethan stood silent, stunned at the hypocrisy. This from the woman whose bills he often paid, who worked 15 hours a week and called it building her brand. She left without another glance. That night, sitting alone in the now half-empty apartment, Ethan stared at her last text, the accusation of being not ambitious enough. He typed, paused, then sent a single word in reply. Understood. What Samantha didn't realize was at this moment, the one meant to humiliate him, would become the spark that changed everything. The next morning, Ethan woke up to silence. No morning chatter, no clinking mugs, no faint scent of Samantha's perfume. Just stillness, the kind that forces you to face yourself. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tired eyes staring back. "Not ambitious enough," he whispered. The words replayed like a cruel echo, but instead of breaking him, they started to burn. That day, Ethan went to work early, something he'd rarely done before. He stayed focused, sharp, almost surgical with his decisions. It wasn't about proving Samantha wrong. It was about rediscovering who he was before her approval became his validation. After work, instead of heading home to the emptiness, he stopped by a gym near his office. The trainer, a wiry guy with sleeves of tattoos, asked him what his goal was. Ethan thought for a second and said, "Rebuild." That one word became his mission. He started waking up at 5 a.m. every day, lifting, running, sweating out resentment. Within weeks, he noticed small changes. His posture straightened. His energy returned. He didn't need anyone to notice. He noticed. By the third week, he enrolled in an executive leadership program at a local university. It wasn't cheap, but he realized he'd been spending nearly the same amount every month covering Samantha's influencer expenses. Now, that money was investing in something real, his future. His nights were no longer wasted scrolling or waiting for texts that never came. Instead, they were filled with online modules, strategy discussions, and quiet, coffee-fueled study sessions. He began to remember what genuine ambition felt like, not flashy or performative, but steady, consistent, and personal. But transformation has a way of rippling outward. His co-workers started noticing. "You've been on fire lately," his boss remarked during a review. "Your last project came in under budget. Keep that up, and we'll be talking promotions soon." Ethan nodded, hiding a small grin. This was the first time someone had connected his effort to actual growth, not comparison. Meanwhile, Samantha's new chapter was playing out publicly online. She filled her feed with recycled motivational quotes and filtered selfies captioned, "Leveling up and cutting off dead weight." Her supposed new boyfriend, the executive she'd mentioned, was nowhere to be seen. Ethan didn't block her. He didn't comment. He didn't even care. Because for the first time, he wasn't competing with anyone. He was just climbing. It was during one of his leadership workshops that he met Vanessa Rivera, a 31-year-old business consultant who was presenting on organizational strategy. Confident, poised, and quick-witted, She carried herself like someone who'd earned every ounce of respect she commanded. After her talk, Ethan introduced himself, not as a fan, but as a peer. "I liked your take on adaptive leadership," he said. She smiled. "Most people only focus on results. You notice the process. That's rare." They grabbed coffee afterward and talked about their careers, mistakes, and illusion of success people chase online. She laughed when he told her how his ex accused him of lacking drive. "Sounds like she confused ambition with noise," Vanessa said. "You're the kind of person who builds instead of brags." Her words stuck with him. For the first time in a long time, Ethan felt seen, not for what he had become in someone else's story, but for what he already was. Days turned into weeks, and his focus sharpened. He was thriving, in silence, without spectacle. His bank account grew, his confidence returned, and his social circle shifted from small talk to meaningful connections. He was no longer chasing approval. He was chasing progress. One night, as he closed his laptop after another late study session, Ethan leaned back and looked around his apartment. It no longer felt empty. It felt earned. Every book, every note, every bead of sweat represented something Samantha never understood. Real ambition isn't loud. It's disciplined. And while she posted about manifesting success, Ethan was quietly building it, brick by brick, choice by choice. He didn't know it yet, but his ex would soon resurface. And when she did, she'd find a man she no longer recognized, one she could never again deserve. 3 months after Samantha walked out, Ethan's world had transformed. He was in the best shape of his life, halfway through his leadership program, and his manager had hinted that a promotion might be on the horizon. But more than external progress, something deeper had shifted. The quiet pride of knowing he'd rebuilt his life from rubble. And then one Friday night, his phone lit up, unknown number. "Wow! You didn't waste any time moving on. Guess I was the push you needed." He stared at it, expressionless. It was her, Samantha, after months of silence. She had resurfaced, reaching out as if she still owned a piece of him. Ethan set the phone down without replying, but the messages kept coming. "She looks old. Do you even miss me? You're pretending to be someone you're not." He ignored them all. Silence was his revenge. Until the following week, when he came home late from class and found Samantha standing in his living room. His stomach tightened. "What the hell are you doing here?" he demanded. "I still had a key," she said, shrugging like it was no big deal. "That key was for when we were together. You don't live here anymore." She crossed her arms, scanning the apartment, the new bookshelves, the framed course certificate, the dumbbells near the couch. "You're really doing all this now? Gym, school promotions. Where was this energy before?" "I always had it," Ethan replied, voice calm but firm. "You just didn't notice because you were too busy chasing people who look successful instead of being successful." She scoffed. "You think you're better than me now?" "No," he said evenly. "Just better than the version of me that tolerated this." Her eyes flickered toward a photo on the coffee table. Ethan and Vanessa smiling at a leadership conference. Samantha's face twisted. "That her?" The corporate robot. "She's actually passionate about her work. Something you never care to understand." Samantha's tone shifted. "I'm trying to build a wellness brand, Ethan, but I need help getting started. Just a loan, $2,000. It's for a certification retreat in Bali. It could change everything." Ethan stared at her, disbelief etched across his face. "You left me because I wasn't ambitious enough. And now you're asking me to fund your dream trip." "It's not a trip," she insisted, voice rising. "It's an investment in myself." "Then invest your own money," he said. She glared at him, wounded ego turning venomous. "You're so selfish. I gave you years of my life. And I gave you rent, groceries, and a second chance you threw away," Ethan replied. "We're even." She clenched her fists. "Vanessa will see through you eventually." "Maybe," he said quietly. "But she already knows me better than you ever did." Her jaw tightened. "You've changed." "Good," Ethan said. That was the point. When she stormed out, slamming the door behind her, Ethan felt something he hadn't before. Peace. Not victory, not anger, just finality. He changed the locks the next morning. For the first time since she left, his apartment wasn't haunted by her energy. The ghost of Samantha, the one who demanded ambition but never understood it, was gone. And as he sat back at his desk that night, sipping coffee and reviewing leadership case studies, Ethan smiled to himself. He'd finally learned the difference between being driven for validation and being driven for purpose. Little did he know, this was only the calm before the storm, because Samantha wasn't done yet. Her pride couldn't handle being replaced, and soon she'd take things to a whole new level. 6 weeks after Samantha's unexpected visit, Ethan's life was running smoother than ever. His company had just shortlisted him for a senior project manager position. His leadership program grades were stellar, and his weekends were filled with coffee dates, business mixers, and quiet evenings with Vanessa, the woman who reminded him what partnership was supposed to feel like. Then, one night, while prepping a presentation, Ethan got a text from an unknown number. "Heard you're bringing your new girlfriend to that industry event. Guess ambition looks different when it's convenient." He sighed. Samantha again. She'd clearly been watching his LinkedIn activity, maybe even stalking Vanessa's posts. But he ignored it. He was beyond feeding that ego. The next evening, he and Vanessa arrived at a downtown leadership summit. Polished crowd, soft jazz, champagne glasses clinking. Vanessa, elegant in a black dress, was talking to a startup founder when Ethan noticed movement across the room. Samantha, she was dressed for the wrong event, more nightclub than networking, scanning the crowd until her eyes locked on him. Then, with a forced smile, she approached. "Ethan," she said sweetly, pretending surprise. "Didn't expect to see you here." "You follow the event's page, don't you?" he asked dryly. Before she could answer, Vanessa turned, extending a hand. "Hi, I'm Vanessa Rivera." Samantha's eyes flickered. "Oh, you're her." Vanessa smiled politely. "And you are—" "I'm Samantha, his ex, the one who tried to make him better." There was a pause, sharp enough to cut the tension in half. Then Vanessa said, calmly but firmly, "He was already good. You just couldn't recognize it." Samantha laughed, trying to play it off. "Well, he certainly changed. Maybe dating up finally pushing to grow." Vanessa didn't flinch. "Actually, he's been the ambitious one all along. His work ethic, his focus. It's why he's being promoted. You should be proud." The word promoted hit Samantha like a slap. "Promoted?" she repeated. "Soon," Vanessa corrected with a smirk. "He's on track. The executive board loves him." Samantha's jaw tightened. "Wow. Guess I was a problem." Ethan finally stepped in. "You said it, not me." Her mask cracked. "You think you're better than me now, huh? You've turned into one of those self-absorbed, career-obsessed types." Vanessa laughed softly. "Funny. That's what successful people call focus." Samantha's cheeks flushed red, her eyes darting between them. "Whatever. You're both perfect for each other. Emotionless corporate robots." Vanessa leaned in slightly. "We're just adults who handle our own lives. You might want to try it." Samantha huffed and stormed off, heels clacking against marble, muttering something about fake ambition. The crowd barely noticed, but she wasn't done. A few days later, Ethan got a text from his mom. "Some woman named Samantha just called me. Said you've changed, that you're cold and arrogant now." "You okay, honey?" Ethan exhaled. "I'm great, Mom. She just can't handle that I grew without her." His mom chuckled. "Well, tell her she's right about one thing. You did change. For the better. It should have ended there. But when resentment festers, entitlement festers with it." The following week, HR called Ethan into their office. "Ethan," the HR manager said awkwardly, "we received an anonymous complaint accusing you of creating a hostile work environment by dating someone in the same industry." Ethan blinked. "Is that a policy violation?" "Not at all," the manager said, suppressing a grin. "As long as she doesn't work here, which she doesn't, there's no issue. We just need to document it." He nodded slowly. "Let me guess, my ex called." The HR rep chuckled. "We're not supposed to say, but let's just say the caller sounded emotional. That report, useless as it was would later become evidence when things escalated. Because 2 nights later, the doorbell rang. When Ethan opened it, he froze. Samantha stood there again, but this time she wasn't alone. Her sister Melissa and, unbelievably, Dylan, the man she left him for, were standing behind her. "Can we talk?" Samantha asked, her tone trembling. "Not really," Ethan said flatly. But before he could close the door, she pushed past him. "This won't take long." Vanessa, who was sitting on the couch reviewing slides, looked up, eyes narrowing. "Oh, great," Vanessa said dryly. "The reunion tour." Samantha spun toward her. "Stay out of this." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "You broke into my boyfriend's apartment. You made my business." Dylan, awkward and pale, spoke up. "Look, man, I didn't mean for all this. I may have given mixed signals." Samantha's head snapped toward him. "May have? You told me I was special." Melissa jumped in. "He promised he'd leave his girlfriend for Sam." Vanessa stood slowly, phone in hand. "Perfect. Keep talking. I'm recording this." "Why?" Samantha sneered. "For when I called the police about trespassing," Vanessa replied calmly. "Also, my dad's a lawyer. He'll love this story." That was a lie. Her father was a dentist. But Samantha didn't need to know. Dylan took a step back. "Yeah, I'm out," he muttered and bolted. Samantha turned, tears welling up. "You were supposed to fight for me, Ethan, to prove I mattered. Not this." Ethan shook his head slowly. "You left to chase an illusion. I stopped chasing people and started chasing purpose." Her lip trembled. "You became ambitious because of me." "No," he said. "I became ambitious because you showed me what fake ambition looks like." Vanessa walked her to the door, voice steady. "You can leave now. Next time you try to ruin someone's life, maybe start by fixing your own." Samantha hesitated, eyes darting around the apartment. The books, the degree frame, the calm. It all symbolized everything she'd thrown away. Finally, she whispered, "You'll regret this," and stormed out. The lock clicked behind her. Ethan stood there, letting out a long exhale. Vanessa reached for his hand. "You okay?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "Just feels good knowing the past can't hurt me anymore." But deep down, he knew Samantha's story wasn't over. Not yet. People who crave validation rarely walk away quietly. And her next move would prove just how far entitlement can go when faced with someone who finally learned their worth. Weeks passed after that night, and the chaos slowly faded into silence. For the first time in years, Ethan's life wasn't being drained by someone else's drama. It was fueled by his own direction. His mornings began with purpose, his nights ended with gratitude, and his heart, once bruised, was steady again. The company had officially promoted him to senior project manager, and his name was being mentioned in high-level strategy meetings. He'd earned respect not by pretending to be ambitious, but by living it quietly, consistently. Vanessa had been there through it all, not pushing him to be more, but reminding him he was already enough. But the past has a strange way of circling back when you least expect it. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when Ethan received a LinkedIn message request from Samantha. He hovered over it for a moment, debating whether to even look. Curiosity won. "Hey, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You were always ambitious. I just didn't understand what real ambition looked like. I hope you're happy now." For a moment, Ethan just stared at the message. There was no anger, no satisfaction, just calm. He'd already found closure the moment he stopped seeking her approval. But something in her tone felt different. He clicked on her profile out of instinct. She was back in her hometown, working freelance gigs, profile updates scattered, each job lasting only a few months. The glossy photos were gone, replaced by quiet posts about self-reflection and starting over. Life had clearly humbled her. That night, Vanessa noticed him sitting by the window, scrolling his phone with a faraway look. "Oh, ghosts," she asked softly. He smiled faintly. Something like that. "Do you miss her?" He looked up immediately. "Not for a second. I just hope she finds what she's looking for." Maybe now she'll understand ambition isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Vanessa walked over, sitting beside him. You've come a long way, Ethan. From being accused of having no drive to becoming someone people look up to. He chuckled. It's ironic, isn't it? She left because she wanted me to be more. Turns out, losing her was the thing that finally made me more, just not in the way she imagined. Vanessa rested her head on his shoulder. Growth doesn't always come from love. Sometimes it comes from the wreckage of what we thought love was. Outside, the rain tapped against the glass, soft, rhythmic, cleansing. Ethan thought back to the man he'd been that night, when Samantha walked out, defeated, confused, wondering if being steady meant being small. Now, sitting in his own apartment, beside a woman who respected him, he realized something powerful. Ambition wasn't about climbing faster. It was about building wisely. A few weeks later, his company invited him to give a talk to young professionals about leadership. Standing at the podium, looking out over dozens of eager faces, he told them, "Ambition isn't loud. It doesn't need applause or validation. It's quiet. It's the voice that tells you to try again tomorrow. It's not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving yourself worthy of the life you're building." After the session, a young man approached him. "Sir, that part about not needing validation, it hit me hard. My girlfriend says I'm not driven enough because I don't make flashy moves, but I'm saving, learning, taking my time." Ethan smiled. "Then you're doing it right. Don't let someone else's timeline become your measuring stick. Real drive is consistency, not noise." That night, when he returned home, Vanessa was waiting with dinner. As they laughed, talked, and planned a small weekend trip, Ethan finally felt the peace he had spent years unknowingly chasing. Not the peace of success, but the peace of alignment. And far away, in a quiet apartment of her own, Samantha scrolled through her feed and saw a post tagged, "Guest speaker Ethan Miller on redefining ambition." Her heart sank, not from jealousy, but from realization. She had once mocked this man for being average, not realizing that true ambition had never been about money or titles. It had always been about character. She whispered to herself, "He really made it." But deep down, she knew the truth. He'd made it because she left. And for the first time, she understood that sometimes losing a good person is the harshest way to meet yourself. Meanwhile, Ethan closed his laptop, looked at Vanessa, and said softly, "You know what's crazy? That text, the one that said I wasn't ambitious enough. It used to hurt. Now I'm grateful for it, because it made me rewrite my story." Vanessa smiled. "And what's the title of that story?" He grinned. "Ambition, the Quiet Kind." And with that, the man once labeled not enough finally realized he'd always been more than enough. He just needed the wrong person to leave, so the right version of himself could stay.